Noel, when Hendrix came over to England, how did you guys first get connected with him as he was an American, knowing him?
There was this audition thing, you know, or whatever. I heard that there was an audition for the Animals going on in a club. And I was wandering around London with a guitar, a little bag, and 10 shillings. So I went down there, and there's all these people milling about. And everybody was sitting around, we just played. And Chaz sort of said to me, "Can you play bass?" I said, "No." I said, "There's thousands of them." So he said, "Would you like a job?" So I went, boom, 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 I don't know. And then they said, "Come back the next day." They gave me £1. That's great. And Mitch came down, we all had to play. And they said, "Would you like to do some things?" So it was me and Mitch and Hendrix. And we did some rehearsals. And about a week later, we were doing a show at the Olympia in Paris.
I was talking to...
Does the fact that Jimi Hendrix has arrived at the proportions of a superstar kind of bother you and Noel at all?
And I don't see it, because you see, you only get involved in what you're aware of. You know, like if you want to be, if you go out to be a superstar, a so-called superstar, I don't personally know what that means. All I know is that if you get to some level, you know, well, like, quite obviously it can be very nice, but, you know, like, there's other things that go with it as well. They're equally as bad. So it's up to you what you get involved in. You know.
Of course, everybody's people anyway. Everybody's natural, so why should it affect people?
Say from the opening of Rainy Day right through to the end of, you know, Voodoo Child Returns, do you think there's a definite progression as far as you were each individually concerned?
I think so, yeah. I think so. Quite naturally, I would think so. Yeah, that whole LP means so much. You know, it wasn't just slopped together. Every little thing that you hear on there means something. You know, it's not no game that we're playing, trying to blow the public's mind or so forth. It's a thing that we really, really mean. You know, it's part of us, another part of us. So then Electric Lady comes along, and we really got about half of what we wanted to say then.
What did you really want to say?
Oh, man. It would have taken about 2 more LPs, you know. It would have been a 4 LP.
But, you know, what was the basic,
Oh, I
not
can't
the
say
concept,
it, you know.
but,
I can't say it right now because, like, I'm thinking about...
It's an unfair question,
yeah.
It really is.
Well, the thing is nowadays, anybody can protest, you know, and anybody can write beautiful songs and all that. But sometimes if you have a talent, or if people are noticing you enough, then you should really try to do as much as you possibly can with it, you know. Like what we're going to do now is chop down the words now and try to make it really tight. And what we're saying is not protesting, but giving the answers or some kind of solution, you know, instead of going towards a negative scene.
Nobody's done it yet. Everybody knocks, but nobody kind of comes up with something
right.
a little more constructive.
So that's what I'm working on
scene.
now. You know, I'm working on that scene. So the next 2 LPs will be like towards that scene, giving some kind of solution for people to grasp.
What kind of music do you want to get into now, Mitch?
I don't know, you know, music's all the same to me. It's only good and bad. There's different directions, you know, but that's it. I really can't tell. I mean, there are different kinds of, it's like, you know, there's different kinds of clothes you might happen to wear according to your mood. And there's different kinds of music I want to listen to and play according to my mood. You know, it's like, there are certain kinds of musicians. I mean, like Jimmy and Noel, right, can bring out a certain feeling in me that other people can't bring out. And there again, like someone else can bring out a different kind of feeling.
Which is equally good.
Yeah, equally as valid, you know. Just depends on how you feel.
Now, as far as the different concert audiences that you're playing to, do they react differently to the Jimi Hendrix experience?
I don't know, man. They're just freaking out when we play. But they listen, though, which is a groovy thing. You know, when the audience is quiet while you're playing, that's really great. That means they're listening. Just like around Canada, it's listening, you know. There's a few little piggies in the back row, you know, squealing here and there every once in a while, but I don't know. I don't think about those things. I think about, you know, the feeling that is there. It makes it's like all the spirits like collect for an hour and a half or so. That's what it's supposed to be. It doesn't call for talking or yelling then, does it?
You know, the experience represents something in, you know, in world pop culture, not just in England, but all over the world.
Yeah, but that's not saying we're giving any social service or anything. I think it comes down to the basic old thing, old cliche, you know, about sort of being in the right time at the right place.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, the public, you know, if anyone enjoys what we're doing, fine. If they don't, I don't give a damn, personally, because I want to carry on playing regardless, you know, because I really believe in what I'm doing.
It's up to the people who buy it. They can figure it out. They're not all that dumb. That's why they buy records for, so they can hear things. And they can hear the truth or lies in records, you know.
Yeah, but what about someone like Cats and Castanets with their 1910 Fruit Gum Company,
Well,
who took a nice
they're gonna fade away
32-bar
soon,
song,
if
and
all
they
the groups,
just,
yeah.
you know, they
If
just
all the groups that
prostituted
make it, you know, all the groups that make a few monies, you know, here and there. Well, if they should get together and get their own thing together, their own label and all that, pretty soon those things will dwindle out, you know. And pretty soon the public will be so smart as where they won't buy those things or do nothing but laugh at them. You know, that's where it's all at. It takes time. Everything takes time. But if everybody is honest to themselves, well, there you go. It all works out in time.
Sound running. Market. Roll one, experience one, take one.
otherwise known as the Plaster Casters of Chicago. Well, the music that he's into, and in fact all three of you are into really, because I don't think you can narrow it just down to Hendrix, did all three of you kind of create this sound, or was this primarily a Hendrix trip?
No, I think like we'd all just got tired of working for other people and playing other people's music. I mean, I don't really think that any of us knew exactly what we wanted, apart from like, I mean, Noel had been sort of working in very competent groups, you know, but like playing other people's material, and I had, and Jimmy had been sort of working with, well, you know, Wilson Pickett, black patent leather hair and shoes to match.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you just get a little bit tired of it, you know. We just knew that we wanted to do something that was our own. We didn't know quite what was going to come out, you know. We still don't.
Well, as far as his happening in England, now as far as when Electric Ladyland was produced, it was probably the most advanced thing the Experience had ever done. As far as the actual recording technique and using the phasing and things like this. And now everybody's gotten into it. Did any of you, have any knowledge of a recording board before?
No.
And we just all learned it because when we first started recording, we were put in a studio, we were recording. Hey Joe took 38 takes in about 14 different studios. Yeah. We went from studio to studio, and none of us knew nothing, but I think now any of us could go into a studio and do everything by ourselves. Of course, you don't need knowledge really, you need just confidence.
Well, you know, as long as it, I mean, like, you hear a sound in your head, and quite obviously you can't reproduce everything that you can hear. It's like you can't write down on music everything that you hear, but no one's going to interpret it exactly the same way as you hear it. But, you know, it's up to you. If you've got the interest there, you can do it, you know.
Do you feel that the album itself, well, say Axis, Bold as Love, and Electric Ladyland, do you think there was any tendency to go not necessarily overboard, but maybe heading for a bit of an extreme as far as the electronic effects achieved in the album, which in fact you guys can do on stage?
Yeah, but let's get one thing straight. I mean, like, it's like any studio facilities. I mean, that's there to be used. There are certain people that can abuse that and prostitute it. I mean, like, I think maybe, actually, I think we've cooled down a little bit as regards that extent, because that isn't what we're into now. That isn't the way that we might happen to feel right now, you know. It's like when Jimmy came back from the States, was it last week, and we hadn't seen him for like a few weeks. You know, it's the first break we ever had. And he was saying that, you know, he's fed up with playing the same guitar style with the same sound because everyone else is doing it, you know. It's the same like for a lot of groups. So, you know, there's always something else to get into. You know, you just get kind of bored.
Does it worry you guys that as far as the style is concerned, if you change it perhaps too abruptly, that it'll take that much longer to have the audience catch up with you, as it did with the Experience really in the beginning?
I think it's a bit difficult because, I mean, you mustn't overestimate the people. I mean, if people, they take what they hear. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. I mean, there are certain things that you might happen to get into because really what they hear it might have happened in the studio like 6 months before it actually comes out, you know, and so you're expected to go on stage and play what they're hearing. You can't blame them, but that isn't the way that you feel at that particular time. That's that 6 months old to you.
Well, don't you think, though, that the fact that the experience caught on so well was because it was kind of a leader, as well as musically, but it was perfectly in tune with where kids' heads were at musically, and the culture almost drew the kids up to the music, so to speak.
I don't know.
Hendrix,
That's, you know, what do you mean?
and so you're one artist that really the music and the value, you know, of your own personal integrity in relation to that music is much more important than the money.
I don't think take it too seriously. Of course the money's important. The money's important to enable me to do what I want to do.
But that's
I mean,
it.
it's only now I'm becoming aware of how much can be done. I mean, the things I thought of, and might have dreamt of a year ago, you know, just weren't feasible. I mean, it's just a dream. And now, like most of those things, or some of those things, have been done. So that means it's not any kind of greed, but it's a kind of lust for, I don't know.
Progress.
Yeah, really. But you can't force that progress. You know, like right now, there are certain hang-ups that I've got musically that I know are physically and mentally sort of capable to overcome, you know. But at the moment, you know, the time isn't right. You can't sort of try to rush into things. I mean, like, you've got your standards of competence, you know, doing your job, you know, and I've got mine, you know, we all have. But I don't know what those standards are. You know, they're what you make them.
And you find that
That's it. I'll let roll.
that was nicely timed. 'Cause
Running. Running. Market. Roll to experience 1, take 2.
Noel, the cream.
What-
All right, sorry. Give me the word. Noel, Cream is about to break. Well, they have broken up, really. And the cop-out was that they had kind of reached the peak as far as what they could do musically together. Now, did you find that as far as the experience is concerned, you find that you see this point in sight where you are kind of reaching a peak musically?
Not really, no, because, as he said earlier, we can...
I mean as a group, though, as the experience.
No, because we can always do more, can't we? You can always do more. If you're a musician, you can always do more. And, but we can do more. We're going to do more, aren't we?
Yeah, but I think there's a difference, you know, like with them. I mean, like, you can't classify things. I mean, they formed a band that's almost like some kind of friends, getting together, doing something. Like, see, we didn't know each other. And because of that, I mean, you know, it's like 3 completely different people. And we're still finding out things about each other.
Now.
So if you've got a curiosity towards each other, like, quite obviously it's going to come out musically some way. You know, I don't know if that's good or bad. It just means there's other things to get onto, because you're all changing in such different directions.
Artistically and personalities.
Oh, okay.
Every way.
Right. The, how about being on the road and being together for such long periods of time?
Well, we got a good thing that way. We've only had about 2 arguments in 2 years. But we, because we've all been in bands for so long anyway before we got together, we know what the things are. That's where lots of groups go wrong. They form a group, they get in a house together. There's all this, you know. And you hate each other after a month.
So really, there's a lot of professionalism to do with this kind of getting along. See?
Yeah, because when we're on the road, like after a gig, if we go out anywhere, we don't go out together. But we see each other.
We might end up at the end of a night together, because we all might to be on the same scene. You know?
Your heads are in the same place at that time.
It's a very strange thing about that, you know, because, like, you could be anywhere in the world, and, like, after a concert, or anything, you know, you might, like, break up and go your individual ways, but you can bet your life.
Which
I don't know
fine.
what the percentage is. At the end of a night, you might go, like, through 3 different scenes and end up in the same place. Sort of walk into someone's house, and there might happen to be Noel and Jimmy. or, you know.
Noel, you're producing a group called Fat Mattress, in which you're a part. How did this all come about, and where's it going to go?
There's an old friend of mine called Neil, I used to play with before this group, and earlier this year we started writing some songs, and we thought we'd like to record them, so we did. And we got a bass player, a drummer, and we just done it.
Now, what are you going to be playing on this in this group? You're going to be playing lead?
Yeah, I did all the guitar and yeah, I don't know, some bass, and vocals, and writing. We produced it all. We wrote the whole thing, and it's nice. It's turned out good, actually.
What kind of thing are you into musically with this group?
It's very different. What do you think about it? It's very different.
Yeah, it's difficult
pop.
for me, you know, because like, if it wasn't sort of, I mean, like, it's a different direction from what we've been doing.
Completely.
But it, you know, I'm very happy to be able to say that I don't know, I think it's great. But if it wasn't, you know, I would have to tell him, you know.
So rather being the astronauts of acoustical space, you're kind of into a more, what type of thing?
It isn't any type of thing, you know. Like, listen, all those categories, you know, are made up for people like you that are doing the job you're doing now, or for journalists, you know.
Right.
Because they've got to explain. I can
Because
see
we
the
have to
point of view.
translate them
You've got to translate to the
a lot of
public.
people.
Yeah, right. I can see that.
It's a mixture.
But don't expect me to accept that or understand it, because I can't, you know.
Yeah, but I
Because
don't expect you to understand it. But I can, you know, try and relate it, though, to me, so I can relate it to a lot of other people.
Yeah, but I can't,
It's
you
more
know, like...
commercial than
We're
what we're
all
doing.
sort of working, we've been working like in New York, we met as so-called jazz musicians, all right? Now, I don't know too much about all that, really, but I suddenly find that Miles Davis is carrying around a cassette recorder with, I don't know, Jefferson Airplane, you know, whatever on it. You know, he's got pop records, because I was like a teeny bop to those people, and so I realised that they're only translating young ideas into, and using their experience to take it into another form.
Well,
And
right,
like,
yeah.
you know, they're being sort of easy enough to give us a chance to play with them.
Yeah, but I think you're missing in that point because, you know, you seem surprised that Miles Davis is digging the Jefferson Airplane. Well, you know, that doesn't surprise me because when I have to find a category, it doesn't necessarily say, hey, you know, you're a rock musician, therefore, you know, you can't dig jazz. That's not what I mean at all. But all we want to do is translate it for a lot of people that are interested in knowing what Noel is into now, so they can kind of at least know what to expect when they see an album with Fat Mattress on it.
Yeah, but the trouble is, like, if it's just going to come out as Fat Mattress, great, you know, but I think the tendency is going to be, like, people are interested. I mean, like, if it's Fat Mattress, they didn't know Noel Redding was on it.
I wouldn't want to know, probably.
Yeah.
But, Noel, would you rather have them say, haha, Noel Redding, Jimi Hendrix experience, Fat Mattress must be good?
Oh, no, no.
Right.
It's
So
gonna...
that's why we want a category.
Oh, I see. Well, like with this thing, when we get the thing all finished, we're going to get some maybe record reviews and interviews on the thing. I'm not going to go to any of them.
You're saving it.
I'm going to send the other three.
Okay.
Because I've seen it happen so much with groups like us. Anybody, say, the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger from straight away, or Traffic, Winwood, they finished that anyway. You know, it's that, and that shouldn't happen because it's four people. We play together. We've written the whole thing together, and just because I've been successful in another group, why should it affect the fact that I've done something else? It either goes or it doesn't.
Right, and I'd rather tell people, listen, Fat Mattress are doing a very groovy kind of music. It's in this vein. Not, hey, it's Noel Redding's group,
Right.
Jimi Hendrix experience. It's got to be good.
I know.
Right, but at the same
Yes.
time, like, it's only, like, unfortunately,
It's going
a
to help
lot of journalists aren't going to take any interest. I mean, like, especially in the States, if there's 400 albums or 400 records, singles coming out a week, they might play, you can't expect them to listen to every single thing that's happening. They might listen to 10 seconds of it. And if it's a group with a Fat Mattress,
I won't.
they don't often get a chance, you know. So, like, you've got it in your mind, like, are you going to prostitute, you know, or abuse what you're doing by going out and saying, well, you know, like, this is Noel Redding, it's got to be valid, you know, it's got to be saying something, or, you know, people are going to be interested because of that. I think it should be that way.
Okay.
Market. Roll 2 reverses, 1 take 3.
Had he been in England a long time? Or had he just come over from America, just finishing the Little Richard and Wilson Pickett trip? Next question. Gotta be fast on these.
Hey Joe, discussing Hey Joe being the thing that happened.
Next.
Does Jimmy's star image
Yeah.
bother you? When you discuss Electric Ladyland.
Now, Electric Ladyland and Axis Bold as Love, you kind of, you know, progressed tremendously as far as electronic processes were concerned. Now, do you think this is, oh shit, that quite, yeah, forget it. Forget that question.
Your music seems to be where people are at.
Yeah. Noel, do you think the fact that your music was really an integral part of the pop culture, do you think it kind of pulled the audience up to your particular level, because you probably were at least 2 years ahead of yourself when the Jimi Hendrix experience started?
No, the Cream broke up because they got to their peak.
Yeah.
With this, you get to that.
Yeah. Noel, Cream broke up. Supposedly their cop-out was that they had reached the heights as far as what they could do musically together. Now, do you find this happening with the Jimi Hendrix experience at all, as far as where you guys have come from musically and how much farther you can go?
And then you go on about professionalism and do they hassle each other?
Yeah. Now, when you're on the road, do you, when you're on the road, how do you guys find that there are, you know, many personality hassles?
And the last one is the mattress, Fat Mattress.
Yeah. Noel, you're producing Fat Mattress now. Is this kind of a, what kind of thing are you into musically with this group? Okay. Hendrix, Slate 1, reel, what reel is this? Reel 3, take 1. Okay? Yeah. Right. Well, here we sit, ensconced in the bedroom of Jimi Hendrix in London. Jimmy, it's been kind of a very fast road that kind of took a long time as far as reaching the top is concerned. Wilson Pickett, Little Richard, things like that, and now probably the hottest group in the world, along with the Beatles. How did it happen so fast for you?
Oh, I don't know. I don't look at things like that too much anyway. So finally I just got tired of it and got a group together myself in the Village. And then they started playing ever since.
How about the Curtis Knight thing? How long did that stay together?
That was right before all this. You know, I was just playing behind him, you know. And then, like, that record was nothing but, like, there's about 2 songs in there that I play about 3 or 4 seconds with, you know. There's nothing but a big hype. Because, like, I used to work with Curtis Knight and all that. And since we had a chance to get something together ourselves, well, then Curtis Knight and his little band of evils, you know, decided to try to capitalize, which is a common thing to do in the record scene, which is wrong, you know, which is some things that we should try to take care of. Most groups now that have a chance to make a little bit of money, they should try to form their own thing, as to where the record scene won't go into the hands of these crooks, you know, with the Mickey Mouse songs, like the 1910 Fruit Gum chewing wad or something, I don't know, man.
Maybe
See,
somebody will assassinate cats and castanets or something.
Right. But I was digging,
Jimmy, when you came over to England, did it occur to you that perhaps a lot of American artists had come over to England and made it, whereas they hadn't in America?
No, I wasn't thinking about nothing but the idea of going to England. That's all I was thinking about. Because I like to travel. You know, one place bores me too long, so I have to, you know, try to see if I can get something together by moving somewhere else. That's why I'm glad we got this group. And the idea of England, this was the idea of England itself. I said, wow, you know, I've never been there before.
The albums, as far as the progression of them from, you know, the first one, Are You Experienced, and then up through Axis, Bold as Love, and finally Electric Ladyland, you grew tremendously as far as the production in it. Did you work really very hard at getting this scene together, or did you find it came naturally
Well,
to you?
when we recorded our last LP, the Electric Ladyland, we was touring at the same time, which is hard to do, because that means you have to concentrate on two things. You have to do a good show tonight, and then plus tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. You have to go into the studios, you know. And so it was really hard. So I got down half the things that I really wanted to get down during that period. But see, like LPs to us are like personal diaries, you know. That's why I like all the other songs we did. I'm not saying they're better than anything else, but I just like them. I have personal feelings for anything that we recorded that we released, you know. But I just wish that we wasn't touring so much in that Electric Lady. We produced it ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't think that really from you know,
Well, it
the
took away
opening
from the
of...
LP.
Hmm?
Well, all that moving around took away from the LP. But like, we're going to produce our next one, and our next one, you know, we're going to produce all our stuff.
At one straight thing.
Yeah. So then, so you learn about the studio a little more, about sounds, how to clear up your sounds. You know, I think we had very good ideas in the last one, but like, if it could have been just a tiny bit clearer and a little more dynamic, you know, well, I like the best of anything. You know, I think it really would have paid off.
Well, do you
Well,
think
like,
as far as changes you're going through as you do it?
yeah, right, exactly. That's the exact words. The changes that we're going through. You know, you can hear the changes from Are You Experienced, loud and brash and frustrated, you know, and rebellious and so forth. And then trying to maybe, with Axes, then trying to maybe cool everything down a little bit and like bring some beautiful stories together and maybe say certain things here and there, you know.
Castles Made of Sand.
Yeah, for instance, yeah. And then if 6 was 9, you know.
Yeah.
And then people start picking on us all the time, and they're always saying, why don't you do this, why don't you do that? So well, give us a chance. You know, things happen in time. We're learning the studio. We want to do it all ourselves because we have definite ideas. And then, well, I don't know
The
why
Beatles
not.
didn't do it in Revolution.
I know, that's what I'm talking about. You know, they have all the, I don't know.
Jimmy, back in the days of Wilson Pickett and Little Richard and things like that, maybe it's painful to go back that
No,
far.
not at
really.
all, man. That's part of life.
Do you find that, were you doing any writing then yourself?
Yeah, I was
Any
right.
lyrics?
Most of our experience came from that. Most of it did, you know, from the basic ideas of that. But that
And
was
that was
cluttered
a
then with,
tired
oh,
and
yeah.
frustrating time then.
Well, yeah, deep down inside it was, you know. I was trying to fool myself then, but it didn't, you know.
And then it started to happen with Are You Experienced?
Yeah, great.
It must really blow your mind though when you look back
Yeah,
at,
sure
at some
does.
of the, no, at some of the other lyrics.
Oh, no, but
You know,
I can dissect from those lyrics exactly what I was trying to say then, you know. Like most of the time then I was in a cloud of lostness, you know. I didn't know what was happening. I was just there. So, oh, well. And say, you know, just really ornery most of the time, you know. And now I have a basic, you know, I don't feel as lost now. Like I've been reborn about 2 times since then, you know. It sounds funny, but it's true.
no man, doesn't sound
And like,
funny.
so now what I'm doing now is working on breaking it down really as where it hits them right dead in the chest, even from the record point of view, you know what I mean? And not clouded by a bad production, or not, you know, misinterpreted, nothing, you know.
Are the other guys going to write some stuff for this one too?
Oh, definitely. Noel's writing a whole LP of himself, you know, called The Fat Mattress.
Yeah.
Like he's getting on his own things. And like, you know, things are happening for us individually, as well as a group. I don't mean,
Okay, we're going to cut it right there. Just new magazine. Roll 4, slate 1, take 5. Hendrix. As if it could be anybody else. Hey, the chalk fell off. So, Jimmy, as far as the albums are concerned, and, you know, I'd rather get into something, you know, about concerts, things like that, because definitely as far as the way you work out, your presence on stage is probably the most dynamic in the business, and I think has added a lot to the Hendrix legend. How's that for a tribute? Now, I'll get on with the question. Have you been doing this, even when you were backing people, you couldn't have been able to do your thing probably as freely. And so how did this it all come at once, or did you find as it went on and on and on, or had you been building it up for 20 years?
Burst.
Zow. And it's still bursting.
Well, I don't know what's happening. I'm just playing by ear, that's all.
Yeah.
It'll all come out in the wash.
Depends who's washing it, though.
Not necessarily.
How about concert plans? Are you know, the audiences you find, that's going to be a nice re-ask, let me tell you. As far as the concerts that you're playing to, do you find a great difference between countries as to how they react?
Not necessarily. I don't look for the difference between countries, you know. Like in Europe, quite naturally, it's a language barrier, but not as much as you would think, though, you know. So I don't really look at it like that.
Yeah, but what are they doing out there? Because it's a weird thing with another artist doing what you do on stage.
They feel paranoid.
It would be either a paranoia trip for a lot of kids in that audience, or they would really, they do the squealing thing because they figured, you know, that you were coming on super sexually, and yet you're doing that and you're playing the acts the way you do. So and they're still listening. Do you think Morrison's tried to do that lately?
Pardon?
Do you think Morrison's tried to do that lately?
Morrison. Oh,
Jimmy.
yeah. Right. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to keep up with all that stuff. You know?
Because he's doing a very quiet thing as far as his presence is concerned. How about doing your thing with the teeth?
Oh, man, I like to do that.
With
Yeah.
the teeth?
If you notice, there's a different tone quality, if you notice. You know,
You're putting me
like
on,
that.
Jimmy. Now, come on, man.
Those are
Really.
real notes that I'm playing. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, but I mean, as far as, you know, I mean, you're not going to tell me that the only reason that you're
No,
doing
I didn't
the
say
teeth
that. I
thing
didn't say that. I said
is because the tone.
self-satisfaction at first. Remember when I
Yeah.
said that? Well, all that is included. That's visual, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. There you go.
They get on you a lot for that. You're
For
putting
instance,
together right
but
now.
I'm just kidding, you know.
Yeah, I know. The what about plans now that Noel's producing his own group? Now, does this hit at his splitting from the experience or what?
Not necessarily. The group itself will probably be together, you know, for a while. But like, as far as, don't forget, each individual person wants to do his own thing too. You know, that doesn't mean you have to break up the group.
Right.
You know, so then he's doing his own thing in the meantime, and I like to do my own thing in the meantime. So would Mitch. You know, that's what it's all about.
So it's not going to conflict.
Not necessarily, no. Not unless we wanted to.
Where do you think the music scene is heading as far as the popularization of blues is concerned? Do you think it's going to hurt the blues as such and kind of bastardize them?
I don't know. Blues is Elmore James, Muddy Waters, and Latin Hopkins, and Howlin' Wolf, you know. All those cats, you can't mess with those because they're down on record already.
What about the people like Mayo?
Yeah, well, it's up to them then, you know. If it's no good, well, it doesn't last, you know. It doesn't stick in the soul of the person as he lives from 6 to 60, you know. So all the real things stick. So that's where blues is at. You might as well call it some other kind of music.
Yeah, but what if the record companies get a hold of it?
Well, let them get a hold of it.
And do you think honesty can stay as far as, you know, Billboard Top 100s and record sales
I don't know.
You know, being so important?
All that'll psych itself out, you know.
Okay. Okay.
Trying to do, wipe those people out, solve the refugee problem that way.
Jimi Hendrix was a rock music superstar. When he died 9 days ago, apparently from an overdose of drugs, he was only 27. His musical influence and his influence on the young were already greater than his elders knew. From Vancouver, a personal reminiscence by Jimmy's grandmother, Mrs. Nora Hendrix. His musical and social impact are evaluated by Jack Batten, a Toronto writer on jazz and pop music.
I don't think most parents of most kids who go to rock concerts and festivals and stuff are going to understand at all what Jimi Hendrix meant to their children. Attracted attention to him first was a sexual thing, I think. He was himself a very sensual-looking man, and the way he moved and you know, the slenderness about him and the way he dressed.
Do you like a wild audience?
What does music make a difference? You know, quite naturally, you like it for them to listen to you, you know, actual listening. That's where you get most of the feeling that you're, you know, making some kind of progress towards them, is when they actually listen. We're not that type anyway, where they scream and holler. Thank you very much.
The images were all sexual. Well, this time he started doing that, I think the audience, the rock and roll audience, was all set for that. His audience, who are, after all, mostly kids, or late teenagers, say, early 20s, that has a good deal of importance to them, because they're, you know, breaking down a whole bunch of barriers, say, and the sexual one is a big thing, and, you know, as we saw at Woodstock and places like that. Spiro Agnew is perfectly right when he says rock and roll is subversive, because rock and roll does talk about turning on and lots of sex and stuff like that, and kids get into that, and so they do use more drugs, and there is a lot more promiscuity or whatever going on. But I don't know how far that's going to get us. Like, I think of revolution as a political thing, and there's nothing at all political about rock and roll. When Abbie Hoffman got up at Woodstock to make a political speech to say, let's rally round, I forget who he was sticking up for. I can't remember whether it was the Chicago 7 or John Sinclair, you know, of MC5, or who it was. You want to make a speech, politics on behalf of somebody. Well, Peter Townsend of The Who hit him over the head with his guitar. Everybody cheered, you know, like, this is not a political scene, was what they were saying.